So I am thrilled to have with me on the show today a guest who I'm really, really anxious to talk to because he's doing some cool stuff as an entrepreneur and just in his business in general. Taie. PJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you here. So now you've got to tell me, and I'd like to start off with everybody, tell me about just your why as an entrepreneur, like why you are doing what you're doing, the business that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really love helping people and I like doing business. So business allows me to interact and speak to customers, help them out, listen to their troubles. It really creates kind of this workspace to be able to interact with all types of people, right? Especially with the internet. Everyone's located all around the world. So you get to speak with all types of people all around the world doing different things. So my company allows me to basically interact and experience and help build people's businesses. Obviously in the video distribution space where there are, creators, brands coming and uploading their content and selling those videos, which it gives me a really broad perspective of talking to all types of people. So I really enjoy working with people and that enables me to do that.
Did you always know you would be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think early on I did. Like I would go around my neighborhood and mow everybody's lawn, plow the snow. Yeah, I think that was actually something I knew early on, and I didn't fit very well with working with for someone, I would say. Yeah, at a very young age. So even though I didn't sit and plan it, I kind of did know that.
It's funny when you say, I wouldn't do well working for someone else. And I feel like almost every entrepreneur has some type of either a story, a moment, or just something that may trigger them where it's like, this is why I work for myself, or this is why I can only sort of be my own boss. Did you ever have time when maybe you're working a 9-to-5 before Uscreen came along? Like, did you ever have one of those moments where it was like, okay, this is why I need to work for myself?
No, I don't think I ever had those moments. I think I had that feeling since I was young. My dad's an entrepreneur. My brother's also an entrepreneur. So I think it was just kind of instilled in me. But I never had a moment. There was never like a frustration or a milestone or something I failed at. It was always something I was natural in, just kind of doing business and interacting with people. It was always part of my personality. So no, I never had that, but I did have the feeling of, or the drive to want to do business, whatever that may be. Like business is just kind of like, in some ways, overall, it's just a way to interact and make deals, right? So that was just always very natural for me to make deals and be street smart, and not in a bad way. I don't mean deals as in being a salesman, just interaction of helping. Hey, I'll plow your snow, give me $10.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too much. Okay, sure, I'll do it for $8. Some just basis of interacting with others was always something that came natural to me.
So tell me a little bit. So when it comes to Uscreen, why this business?
Yeah, so for me, I think, like when you enjoy doing business and you enjoy interaction and helping others, and I see this a lot with entrepreneurs, I don't think they really sit there, or at least I didn't, and think, what is the best business for me? Although that sounds a little bit like, okay, wouldn't someone do that and you want to do something you're happy with? I'm happy doing business, right? So in my case, I don't have to sit there and figure out, okay, this is exactly the type of business I want to do. So to answer your question, Uscreen is a software as a service, and it's in technology. So that's the first thing that attracted to me to that, is technology, because initially I worked at my dad's computer reseller firm before Dell became really popular in the 90s, and I was in my teens or early teens. And I was in technology. I got my MCSE, I did Microsoft, then I worked at CompUSA, Best Buy, at the time it was called PC Tech, now it's called Geek
Mhm.
Squad. So I was always in technology. Then I started my first company, which was a web hosting company, kind of like your GoDaddy competitors, right? And
Mhm.
that was a technology company. Then as that flatlined, I realized I need to go into another business that's not growing as well. It was 14 years in that company. And I started looking for software as a service, a subscription business.
Mhm.
Automatically, in my previous company, being in technology and working with customers that were selling physical goods, I looked at digital goods. So that was
Mhm.
the natural progression. So number one, it was technology because that's what I know. Number two, it's business, right?
Mhm.
Which I like, and I like software.
Mhm.
Um, and I knew video had a big future. This is in 2014. I went to this
Mhm.
big conference in Amsterdam. It's called IBC. It's the European version of NAB in Las Vegas that we have in the States. And I
Mhm.
saw these big booths of Bright Cove and all these different companies that we now compete with and do very well at. And I saw
Mhm.
that they had these big show of wealth. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of money in this industry. Video is always expensive. Delivering video like you and I are doing with Zoom,
Mhm.
it's always been expensive. So I knew there was a lot of money there and a lot of growth potential. And you could tell with Facebook and live and all the
Yeah.
video that that was the future. So I knew
Mhm.
making money with video was next in line. First, there's free videos. Then people are like, holy crap, this stuff's expensive. For me to create good videos just on YouTube, where I'm not making a lot of money, is expensive. I might want to sell it. So that was the
Mhm.
early thinking of that
Okay.
progression path. Yeah.
Okay. So is what's interesting, but not unique is not the word. What's interesting is, and it's something that you find often. That's what I'm trying to say. For those that are listening or watching, is how you talked about, hey, I knew I had that technology anchor. Like I had that background. I knew I liked business. And then you had the foresight that said, okay, video is going to be huge and there's a lot to be had and efficiency to do and a lot to bring to that space. How you combine those three things to say, okay, this is where I want to play. And I just wanted to stop to highlight that. So talk to me a little bit, PJ. You talked about, you had the web hosting company happening, and then you took the pivot to go towards Uscreen. Talk to me about that pivot, knowing when you needed to pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, pivoting from my previous company to the current company was simply a plateau because I started that company when I was 23. And then you obviously get comfortable or you don't lose. I never lost motivation. I always kept up with the business, but it gets to the point where it becomes very repetitive. And web hosting changed very quickly when I got in, and then the internet started to really boost. And GoDaddy came, these different companies came. It got very competitive very fast, and I wasn't smart enough or mature enough to innovate to the level. And I would have to do different things to be able to keep up with that. So I wouldn't say I would say the company made good money and grew. We gained about 5,500 customers at the end over that 14-year period, but it
Mhm.
flatlined. It wasn't growing at 100% or 50% a year. I think we were growing at 1 or 2% per month, and then we'd lose a big customer and we'd drop. And I knew after trying in various different marketing efforts and sales efforts that I was never going to be able to grow the company at that level. I was too late to the game of taking it to the next level. In that case, I'd missed that opportunity. So I wanted to
Mhm.
start something new. So that pivot happened when I saw the growth potential's not there. It was that
Mhm.
simple. Yes, of course, it had become ordinary and I wanted something new for myself,
Mhm.
but I also knew that the growth potential wasn't there. If the growth potential to what I was capable of was there,
Mhm.
then I would have stuck with the business. But I
And
did
that's
hire multiple people and I got very ready and in the market for a good 2 years to really advertise and grow that business. And we realized that we didn't have enough funds and the ability to be able to compete with your GoDaddy and all these different web.com type companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love when you said the growth potential to what you were capable of, like that full realization of kind of here's where we stand, here's what's real. Sometimes I think, you know, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there are some who will embrace that pivot and yep, things don't line up. There are some who will hold on just a few years too long.
That's right.
So, so that's awesome. Now, tell me from your expertise angle, PJ, because you're in the video business, you're in that content business. Talk to me about what we as entrepreneurs should be thinking about doing from a video perspective, how maybe we should be leveraging it. What should we be doing now?
Yeah, I think in video in general, it's a great way to communicate, right? A video is worth 1,000 pictures per se. So, but also creating good video can be expensive. It's time consuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to kind of look at it for what it will do for your business. In our case, for Uscreen, we help companies distribute and sell monetized videos. So faith-based organizations, fitness, entertainment, lots of e-learning. So there's a goal in mind for these brands to make money with content or build an audience. And a lot of them come from the free world of YouTube with ad insertion and so forth to monetize directly to their audience.
Mm-hmm.
So would I advise everybody to create video? I wouldn't say it's for everybody, but I think, you know, having a little bit of video, if you have it on your social feed and Facebook and all that for fun is not bad. But if you do have a skill, whether it's fitness, entrepreneurial, coaching, video is great for that. You can absolutely monetize videos. I mean, there's over 5,000 creators on our platform.
Mm-hmm.
And a year ago, the average revenue per account was maybe $7,000 per month, right? Now it's
Mm-hmm.
above 20,000. I mean, in the last 90 days, that's significantly changed. I would say it's above 20,000. It was like 17, 18,000
Mm-hmm.
about 3-4 months ago. But now with Corona, we have companies that are
Mm-hmm.
making a few $100,000 in a week, 2 weeks, with selling videos directly to the audience. So I think if
And
you have a skill, oh, go ahead.
so PJ, before you keep going, just to make it clear, when you're talking about people selling these videos to their audiences, are these how-to videos that they're selling?
Yeah, good question. Well, how to would be one example, but it's more, let me give examples. One of them could be a faith-based individual or organization that wants to deliver their message, right, to their audience and is doing their Sunday sermons or weekly, daily bits of content. So I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say it's how to, it's more e-learning, right? Hey, do you want
Okay.
to get closer to Jesus, whatever that may be? And then
Mm-hmm.
the other one can be, hey, 30 minutes of yoga, let's do this live class or on demand. We do those, lots of fitness training, you know, tap out yoga with Adrian, Humming Puppy, another cool name, Burn Boot Camp. There's a lot of fitness companies on our platform that are doing fitness training, work out with your audience, right? On demand replays or live streams, and lots of e-learning. When you say how-to videos, it's a lot of e-learning. It's everything from barbecuing to cooking channels. It's a lot of series of content. It's entertainment, also like comedians and all that stuff. We enable you to basically build your own Netflix. So imagine if you had your own Netflix for hustle and launching your
Mm-hmm.
own business and finding your why and all that good stuff, and you offered a lot of good information that I could subscribe, pay $10 a month and gain access to your catalog of content, or I pay $100 and gain access to 101 type content from, you know, a course A to Z for you to teach me how to launch my own business or how to find my why factor. So ultimately, it's the type of video is almost agnostic.
Yeah, that's
Anything
what I
can
remember.
go into, right? You could watch
Mm-hmm.
anything on Netflix. You can launch your own Netflix with Uscreen, and you can organize a few hours of content into this full catalog with categories and organizations. So the Netflix figured it out really well. We copy the model of that catalog basically, but there's a lot of tools. There's marketing
Yeah.
tools and all that stuff to help you get going.
So now tell me, there are And I say this from experience. So I run a digital marketing agency in the real estate space. And we do a lot of advertising, and we always push clients to do a video of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
This is always where it gets fun because either you have someone like completely terrified, or they're just like, yeah, okay, down to do it. You know, one of the things that we've learned is, all right, we're going to start putting together some things that don't necessarily still video, but don't necessarily require them to be in the video. What do you say to the people who are deathly afraid of showing up on video, but want to leverage it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think the first step is to do it, right? And then you're not going to get it right initially. It's going to be a little intimidating. Just looking at the camera lens, I think, is uncomfortable for a lot of people, a majority, including myself. You're just kind of looking at a lens. You're like, what am I doing? Right? You're not seeing another person. Like right now, we're two-way video, so it's easy, like looking at you and talking, but I don't really think it's a camera. I'm talking to you. But in the case of talking to a digital SLR camera or your iPhones, it's a little interesting. But you get used to it really fast. And then, so I would advise someone to try it. Initially, it's not going to look good. People don't really care that much, to be honest, or they don't care at all. They just want to see you. You're delivering your message, and you'll learn really quickly. Once you get it, it flows. It's like a click. It's kind of like riding your bicycle. You'll eventually get better and better, and can turn better and brake better and all that stuff. But once you get it, it's kind of like, okay, I got it down. Let me turn this button, mic. Okay, sound check. I'm ready to go. And obviously preparing a script and kind of what you want to say is important.
So in other words, doable, just try.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct.
So tell me, PJ, what's been the biggest challenge for you in building your business so far?
Yeah, good question. So my web hosting, in WebNet Hosting, my previous company, we had at the most 7 people, full-timers, in an office in Rockville. Now most of our team is remote. So I've had a few challenges, I would say personally, right, which relate directly to business challenges. One is, which relates to business directly, is we have a remote team. There's 60 of us now, we're remote. So working with remote is difficult until you get it. Right now, we're speaking during COVID, and everyone's shifted into remote, and they're having a really tough time. For us, we're 5 years old. We've done it. We're used to it. It takes a while to learn it. It is not a 1 month or 2 month or 3 month process. It takes a year, 2 years for everybody and your processes to come into place, the different tools that you use. And that was a big challenge. Big challenge is really overcoming how you're going to work with all these people remote, especially when you're paying them and trying to run a company against big competition. Other challenges for me would be focus, right? As you get really busy, it's hard to focus on the right stuff, or the right items at the right time. Delegating tasks is also a personal skill that you acquire, right? Prioritizing, focusing, being patient, working with a lot of people. The reason I say my first company had 7 people is now we have 60. It's a completely different animals. You now need managers. Before, I would just manage people sporadically, and that skill kind of came naturally with working with people over time. But now you got to have managers to run different teams, and then there's internal politics. So things get very complicated as an organization grows, which I never understood as big companies, why they have so many challenges making big moves really fast or just developing products or features. Yeah, it gets very complicated as you grow. So personally, I had to learn how to focus. I had to learn how to wake up earlier. I've never been a lazy person, but you have to work more hours. You have to be more efficient. You have to be in better shape, because you have a lot of people that depend on you, and there's a lot of big decisions to make. So you have to be patient. You can't get mad. And those things have happened. I'm usually a pretty fun person, but obviously stress comes, and there's different things you get frustrated about. There's internal politics. So you have to be positive, because the smallest thing that you tell your team, people resonate with. So if you tell someone from the beginning, before you hire them, hey, you sure you can become a manager, that person's going to hold you to that 3 or 6 months later, and
Mm-hmm.
you're so busy during your day, you just wanted to bring them into the door, not be dishonest with them, but hey, yeah, sure, you're a great fit, right?
Yeah.
You didn't think
Mm-hmm.
that they asked to become a manager, that they really wanted that. And then once that person's into the team, there's a lot of dynamics because another person wants to become a manager. So now they're
Yeah.
butting heads. So these things you have to learn as a human being, as a person, as a leader, that I have to be careful what I tell people. I have to lead them. I have to obviously be honest. I have to communicate very well. These things
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn. I never acquired the skill before. I've never had a company at this stage. So these are all personal
Mm-hmm.
things that you have to learn. Obviously they relate to business, but you have to learn them over time.
Yeah, that one about, being careful what you say, that one in particular. So a lot of my background is corporate, and that one in particular, I learned early on in managing a team of like 12 people, that the words that you say carry so much weight, you don't even realize
That's
it.
right.
So, be careful what you say, because to your point, either they'll hold you to it. They might feel some type of way. You could end up losing good people. Like, it's important to just recognize what you're saying, be present in it, and that type of thing. And it's even something I think about now that I've got not a large team, but a small team of 3, that it's just important as you're building this,
Absolutely.
and haven't seen your stage yet, right? Of like 60, but with those just small few, right? That communication, that touch is so important. And I think that's a good piece to bring out for everybody that's listening and watching on that entrepreneurial journey, that they will come, they will go, they will change as you travel that path. So awesome. I'm so thankful that you came on, PJ, because this has been really an enlightening conversation so far.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. It's a pleasure as well.
So this is what I think we're going to do. First, let listeners know and watchers know where they can find you. Let's do that first. Where can they learn more?
Perfect. Yeah, so you can email me anytime, anyone listening. I'm happy to chat with you. It's pj@uscreen.tv. That's the letter P, letter J, at U, the letter U, and then screen, like computer screen.tv.
Awesome. And I'm going to make sure, folks, that we have on the show notes at CandaceSpears.com that we have PJ's information, so that you can make sure you get in contact with him if that's something that you'd like to do. So one fun question before we go. So we're in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me one thing, this is a wild card. So tell me one thing that you look forward to doing when all the restrictions are just gone.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, it's hard to narrow it down to one. That's why it's a tough question, right? I would say personally, I want to go back to the gym, even though I have some weights here. I think it'd be nice just to go to the gym. I think a lot of people feel that way. And then little stuff, right? You want to just kind of go back. I'm not a big shopper, but going back to the mall or somewhere normal, right? Yeah, I mean, you can go now to the grocery store and wear a mask. I would say not having to wear a mask would be one of them. I don't really like wearing a mask. But yeah, I would probably say going back to the gym, so obviously I know there's a lot of fear there. I think that will hopefully go down over time, but that would be nice. Going to the mall, going to a big event without everybody being, or even like a family party or something like that,
Yeah.
right? I think it'll take time, but it'll happen.
Yeah, we'll all one day get back to normal. It'll be, well, I don't think it will ever really be normal per se, but we'll get back to not having the restrictions. I'll say that at some point in time. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining in, PJ. And for those that are listening and watching, you know what I always say: don't just take what you have heard and hold on to it. Take it and take some action. And I hope you have a great day, a great evening, whenever you're listening. And I'll talk to you or watching, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon.